As I mentioned, Mariska recently made a critically acclaimed documentary about her mom, Jane Mansfield. It's so good. She was the epitome of the blonde actress and pinup girl of the 1950s. She was also an accomplished violinist, which I did not know until this.
Yeah.
And also, many reported as having a genius IQ. Like, she was so intelligent. Yeah. I thought I knew, like, just from things, like, you know, like you see, like, when you're younger and growing up, but I didn't. And it was very interesting, the documentary. Your life is insane.
It is. My life is insane. People come up to me and they go, I had no idea. And I go, I know.
You didn't for a while.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
People are like, I had no idea. And I'm like, sweetheart, I had no idea.
Yeah. It's a lot to unpack.
So it was a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it was. How did the film change your image of her? Because I bet it was very different.
The film changed not only my image of me, of her, but of me, and also of the truth.
Yeah.
And of curiosity and judgment and how we project on other people when we don't have the full story. So the film for me was such an incredible, it was so catharsis, and I had so many epiphanies, but I also learned that, you know, we think we know, but we don't.
Yeah.
And that applies to so many things about life, because I grew up thinking one thing and everything that I thought was wrong. And the truth turned out to be so much better than I thought. So I like to think of the film as like an invitation for people to have the curiosity and the disciplined curiosity. I say it with that because the disciplined curiosity to ask the questions but not judge or think that you already know the answers. Because we are, as humans, very, very complex individuals. And nobody's one thing, you know, nobody's one thing. And we make decisions for so many reasons. And after I learned about all the decisions that were made for me, they were made out of love.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that.
It is interesting, too, as we get older, you understand, even like if they might have been not great decisions, like for you, you understand them in a different light when you age, when you get older and you become a parent, or you become, you get put into, you're like, oh, you have a little bit more empathy than you might have had in your 20s.
Just the other day, my daughter, who, you know, she was in gymnastics and she was in ballet and she was so good at both of them. And then she said, I don't want to do it anymore. And it's so hard because you're like, do I force them to do it? But she says, I don't like it. So, of course, I said, okay, honey, if you don't want to do it, then you don't have to. Then she's, you know, 14 now, and she goes, why did you let me quit ballet?
Oh, my God. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
And I said, Amaya, do you understand how hard it is to be a parent now? Do you get it? And she goes like this, I do.
Oh, yeah. I look at my daughter constantly. Specifically, it's more conversations with her, I think, and I look at her and I'm just like, look, I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best. I know you're going to end up in therapy one day. I don't know what for, but I'm trying my best to limit it. You know what I'm saying? Just like help out.
But we need to let them know how difficult these decisions are.
Yeah. But then sometimes as a parent, you're like, were you a little bit happy because it's so much time out of your life to go to all those things? Oh. Were you a little happy? And she was like, I just don't want to do that anymore. Oh my God, okay, I guess.
Oh, yes, if you don't want to, listen, when she quit horseback riding, because I was ready to off myself. And I was like, oh my God, it takes 7 hours to get there. It takes 7 hours to get there. And then the day she's like, Mom, I don't want to go. And I'm like, you don't want to go? Okay, honey. You don't have to go. You know what?
That's when we were living in LA.
I don't even like horses, do you?
We're just kidding. Totally spread your wings, try new things. Let's get to some commercials with the help of a guest in the audience.
Hi, Kelly and Mariska. I'm Stefan. Mariska, you might not recognize me, but I know you'll recognize me.
Oh, I recognize you.
Yeah.
I recognize you. Not only do I recognize you, I'm surprised you're still talking to me after what I did to your artistry.
Yeah, I choreographed that dance just one day at the bus stop goofing off, and I can't believe you and Kelly Gittich got on board with that trend. So you ladies rocked it. Stay here. Stay here. Kelly has more with Mariska right after this.
Show Law & Order SVU 27. Good Lord. Well, actually, season 27 kind of started with a big loss for your crew.
It did indeed. Yeah. We lost Captain Cragen.
Yeah.
That was a rough one.
Well, it's just because you've been like nobody really has done a show like this with such longevity and then so many relationships in and out coming back. Boy, like that's a hard thing.
But that was so beautiful about it is these scenes, like, you know, they almost act themselves because the circumstances are so powerful, right? And there's such genuine love, you know, for the captain, for the actor, and just having, you know, the old, you know, regulars having Dean come back and B.D. Wong come back and then doing that scene with Chris. It's also, so you like him, you like him. But it was so, these are so beautiful, you know, this word, it's like these scenes they're so earned that there's just a ease and a effortlessness to it because
that's beautiful.
We lived it.
Yeah.
We lived it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, you also have, on a brighter note, your new showrunner, first female, right?
Yeah.
First female showrunner? That's cool.
This year, the show, listen, I'm so proud of the show and I'm so proud of all the sort of incarnations and all the amazing showrunners that we've had, are spectacular. But I really wanted a female showrunner.
Yeah.
And there was this writer who used to write on the show for, I think, 4 or 5 years back in the early days. She was so brilliant. And all my favorite episodes were hers. And so everything linked up perfectly, lined up timing-wise, and now she's back. And so the show feels like there's this incredible renewal to it. And just that the women are running the show, literally.
Yeah, that's so cool that she started and then full circle.
And then we have Kelly Giddish back, which is, so it's a very specific kind of newness and badassery that's happening right now.
Oh, I love the chemistry of that.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I love it.
October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What do you wish more people knew about this issue?
That you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that there is community out there for you. I think the number one thing that I've heard from victims of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse is that they feel isolated and they feel shame.
I was gonna say, I always feel like
isolation.
It's shame too.
Shame. And the fact of the matter is, and I think that's the beauty of shows like SVU and the fact that more amazing people are coming forward and sharing their stories of abuse, is realizing that the shame belongs with the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And that is the shift that needs to happen. That is the shift. And also the way women, you know, just culturally are raised, and it's my fault, it's my fault. You know,
I shouldn't have put myself in that situation.
I shouldn't have put myself in this situation.
Yeah,
No, here's the deal. He shouldn't have raped you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So,
it is weird though how those are embedded.
yes.
It's hard. It's hard to
but
get
even
past
that, the way people speak about it is so important. Like, there was a passivity to saying, you know, like, I was raped. Where's the perpetrator in that sentence, right? He raped me, and naming him raped me. He did it.
Words are
it's
powerful.
on him. Words are powerful.
Yeah.
And that is such an important thing. And that was something that I learned too, that I remember going, that switches it for me. That's the beginning of the healing, is when things can change about the way we talk about it. And we can see the sort of historic victim-blaming attitudes that unfortunately are so prevalent out there and need to be changed. And, you know.
Yeah, agreed. You say that
now more than ever, we need to talk about it.
For sure. I think always, just so it's never
always.
under rug swept. Yeah. You say that you learned a troubling fact about survivors. What is that? Is it with their pets? Is that
Yes, I learned a troubling fact about survivors, which is why I was so excited about this Purple Leash project.
Yeah, that's where I was going.
Is that I learned that 50% of survivors were hesitant to leave their abusers because they were scared about what would happen to their pets. And oftentimes, pets can be like family.
Yeah.
Pets are family. Pets can be like children. And so...
Because that's another thing why people don't leave is children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so there are, apparently there were fewer than, only 20% of the shelters allowed pets. So this is what was so powerful, is that Purina came up with this thing where they said, no, we cannot let survivors stay and put themselves in jeopardy when I think the statistics is 70% of abusers threaten to kill the woman's pets. And so that's why, of course, they didn't want to leave. And so that was really powerful to me, is that they want to create a world where there is no reason, you know, not to leave, and certainly not because of your pets.
Yeah.
It was very, very powerful.
It's called Purple Leash Project, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to get to talk about that. How did you get turned on to that? How did you find out about that? Did
They
come to you?
approached me and know that I had the Joyful Heart Foundation, and I've been doing work in domestic violence and child abuse space for a long time. And then they told me the work they were doing, and I said, please, I want to be involved. This is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because people don't talk about that so much.
And it's like
I didn't
people
want to
in that
go because I didn't want to leave my dog. I didn't want to leave my cat.
Yeah.
I stayed with my abuser because I didn't want to leave, and I was scared, you know, for my family member that traditionally offers so much comfort for a victim of sexual assault.
Well, especially in that environment.
That's right.
Okay, so there's this really cool thing they're doing now where they're matching donations, right?
So they have an initiative going where 100% of the donations made to Red Rover in support of the Purple Leash Project, up to $500,000 through the end of the year.
That's what they're
Pretty
doing.
incredible.
That's incredible. That's incredible. All right, we need another break. You can find more info on the Purple Leash Project online, and be sure to catch new episodes of Law & Order SVU Thursdays on NBC and Fridays on Peacock.